It is now 16:02 on Thursday, August 24th. I'm not going to call this meeting to order. I will call the meeting to order, however, already in public session. We opened the meeting at 2:30 in public session, went into non-public, we've re-entered into public. But I am going to ask that all who wish would stand and join me in Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There is a small group in front of us, or in front of you today. Commissioner Coop and myself, Commissioner Wood, along with Captain Livy and Chief Stu Chase. Commissioner Bob O'Brien is home, excused from the meeting. However, he is on the phone and will be participating via the phone. Okay. And at this time, I will I'll entertain a motion on the minutes from the July 27th, 2023 meeting.
I make a motion.
I would submit the minutes to be approved as presented.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner O'Brien to accept the minutes as written, and a second by Commissioner Coop. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Okay. And at this point, Captain Livy, if you would begin with the monthly reports.
Yeah, I'll go right into them. Incidents year-to-date for 2023. July, we had a decrease of 35.29%, down from 51 to 33 for the month of July. And we had 71 offenses for the month of July with those 33 incidents. So if you see all the material after, broken down by the officer, it is included with the paperwork after that. Question?
No question.
Seems like it. Arrest year-to-date for 2023. So we're up 3 to 35 from the month of June, with an increase of 9.38%. Again, same thing, all the materials behind it, broken down by officer, so you guys have all that to get that all done. Collisions year-to-date 2023, the good news is we're down from the month of June, which we had 26, down only 23.8% to 20, but still very high. Not really in our average, what we do get on a monthly basis. So still high at 20. Our streets really are Center Street is a big one. I saw that we had 6 of them, and South Main Street. Those are usually our targets that we do have to get quite a few of them in those areas. So we'll get some other material in there, but that's for the whole year. So 102 so far this year.
Wow.
Yeah, good one. Traffic stops year to date. We had a decrease in the month of July, 15.7% to 224 from 265 in the month of June. As you'll see, all the material fines, where they were, the areas are all with the material here. Time of day, which is actually pretty nice, which state they came from. Found some new stuff in there that you guys can look at and see how many citations and verbals that are in there. Personal analysis report. So the last month, for the month of July, 33 incidents that you saw. It's broken down by each officer. You can see which each of them had. Remember, some of them are on midnight, so they'll have less than what you normally do with your officers that might be on day shift or night shift, which as you see, Officer Dustin had 6 in the month of July. Citations and your traffic accidents are all there, and the assist is what I really look at to see how many officers were at each call, which needed 2 or 3, possibly at 1 call. So you can see, break that down. Year to date for today, 373. At this time last year, we had 347. So we're still on an increase compared to what we were doing from last year. It's time to catch up a little. Year to date for Prosecutor Morgan. So we had 17 defendants, 17 charges, 12 cases found guilty, pled out, 5 cases placed on file with 1 year good behavior. Total fines and penalties is $4,042 and 40 cents. So for the month of July, and you'll see everything in there for you guys to look at. So one thing I didn't get to you guys, I just did today, is the budget. So looking at the police budget, we're 2.14% underspent, which is comes out to about $46,062.38 in the police budget, which is doing pretty well. The dispatch budget is 1.736% underspent, which comes out to about $9,386.26 right now. Animal control is 8.9. That's $2,399.04. So overall, we're underspent by $57,838.89. So doing really well with the crazy year that we had. So the month.
I'm sorry. So we've already recovered what we paid out.
Very close.
Okay.
Yeah, very close. So we're getting there. By next month, we will be.
Okay.
For the increase. So the monthly activity report for the detective, we don't have any SROs because there was no school for summertime. So in the month of July, Detective Emerson took on 7 new cases. He also covered multiple open patrol shifts, and he did a lot of overtime, which was great to relieve some of the patrol shifts. He did a lot of speed enforcement grants that are out there for all the officers for the month of July and June. Detective Emerson and Corporal Shanks drove up to Bar Harbor, Maine to transport a male subject back to the Carroll County Jail for a slew of charges and arrest warrants. He assisted with the county attorney's office with gathering information and following up for multiple charges regarding the above-mentioned male subject. He's located a vehicle which resulted in a DUI arrest during his patrol shifts. During the evening hours, the Wolfeboro Police responded to a residence for a sudden death of a 24-year-old male. Detective Emerson has multiple hours of training regarding crime scene preservation and handling sudden death cases, so he was called into work to handle the investigation. That investigation is still in the infant stages and still ongoing. So cases assigned, investigated, assisted with. He had 1 DUI arrest, 1 DV strangulation times 2 arrests, 1 fraud, 1 theft, 1 sudden death resulting, 1 runaway teen located. Percentage of cases closed this month, 82%. Percentage of new cases closed by arrest during this month is 44%. And the percentage of the entire caseload closed is 84%. Then you have the little graph that he does every month, so you'll see the whole year of all the cases percentages that he's working on. And that's all I got.
Captain, I just, going back to speed enforcement, and we just have the 3 devices, right? The 2 pole mounted and the one trailer, or where are we at with?
You actually have 4 standalones that are mounted in the ground.
Okay.
North Main Street, 4th Street. 4th Street's battery is dead, so that's why everyone's driving by it, that's why. We gotta replace that battery. And then we got 2 on Super.
Okay.
And then we have the radar trailer that moves around.
Right. I did have a request to have the one put back out at, with school starting, especially Wolfeboro Falls area by Birch Road.
Okay, yeah.
With people coming into town, especially to get them to slow down. That's always been a,
I get the same one. It's the same person.
maybe, I don't know, but the request was made, and as always, I want to pass that on so that it is addressed.
Trail. I will give that to Sergeant Booyah, and we'll get that out there.
Thank
'Cause I
you.
know it's out right now, but it'll probably be out there for like a week or so, and then we'll switch it up. So I'm done with mine, if you don't mind.
Yeah, scoot out.
I'm gonna scoot out.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Captain Livy will be leaving us. He has another appointment. And I forgot to mention that Our executive secretary, Sherry Moore, is away on vacation. We miss her, but she's definitely earned it, and we look forward to seeing her next month.
Absolutely.
Okay, before we go to the chief's items, Commissioner O'Brien, did you have any questions or comments on anything presented so far?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Commissioner Coop? Good. Okay. Chief, if you would,
Mr.
please.
Chairman? Yes, thank you. I get to do the chief's items, so in general, those who drive by the public safety building will notice that prep work has begun on the project. There's temporary fencing up, some tree cutting, electricity, and establishment of the contractor's office is done, and some other equipment is being installed, and we're clearing our parking lots to make sure that all this construction equipment and needs for staging have sufficient room to do their job. And it's important to know we're grateful to All Saints Church for their help in sharing their parking lot for our employees' vehicles during construction. So we thank them for partnering with us.
How is that going to be affected by, like with the food pantry?
Now, we're way down back, we're out of their way.
Oh, okay, good. Because I know when they're, the food pantry is, doing deliveries and so forth and pickups,
Yeah.
there's,
So this is a self-imposed wellness program as well for us.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember picking up my grandchildren from nursery school there, and certain days it was kind of
Yeah,
tough
yeah.
getting through the parking lot, but okay, good.
I know we have someone here who's very interested in GTO, but we do have a retired police cruiser that we're going to be auctioning off for any project-minded folks. It's called the Ford Interceptor. It used to be called the Taurus, and the legal announcement will be in the local papers soon, and you'll be able to see the stats and probably a photo of it on Facebook. In anticipation of our needs during the building renovation, Supervisor of Dispatch, Mia Lyons, will soon be doing a walkthrough at Huggins Hospital with our radio equipment providers to explore the possible use of available space there. It looks like that would be a real plus for us in phase 2.5 or 3 or whatever is coming down the road. That's some strategic planning, because that's looking ahead, there's a ways out. The state's new law enforcement accreditation program was launched on July 20 of this year. It's especially designed to be both affordable and achievable for agencies of our size. The program's 114 current standards reflect industry's best practices in each critical area of law enforcement authority, including management, operation, investigation, records, and support services. These standards reflect what agencies should be doing, but not how they should do it. Toward that end, we are reviewing and revising our own standard operating procedures to bring them into compliance with accreditation standards. Ideally, we will be completing this self-assessment and accreditation about the same time the public safety building project has been completed. It's good to have a facility that's in tip-top shape when we go through these assessment processes. In addition to having Recruit McGee at the Academy in Concord, 2 of our seasoned staff members have been there recently in a teaching capacity, and it's good to have our officers down there at the Academy. In service training, Officer Jake Boucher recently completed the field training officers class. I think he finished that today.
Oh, good.
Several department members attended the Active Attack Integrated Response Train the Trainer course held at Kingswood Regional High School. This was a 40-hour comprehensive course attended by many area departments and first responders. If you went by there several weeks ago, you'd see a lot of out-of-town cruisers there. This was a really, really comprehensive class, and it involved homework for several officers who haven't had any for over 25 years. So I'm just going to speak a little bit about it. Captain Mark Libby, Sergeant Jared Boyer, Corporal Eric LaRochelle, and School Resource Officer Mary Devine represented the Wolfeboro PD. Corporal Boucher was active in getting the teaching team and all the equipment on scene. He spent many hours assisting at that school as well. He did commendable work in that regard. Here's a brief description of the course content. The course is a 40-hour performance level direct delivery course designed to improve integration between law enforcement, fire, telecommunicator, and EMS in active attack shooter events. The course provides law enforcement officers with key medical skills based on tactical emergency casualty care guidelines, which can be used at the point of injury to increase survivability of victims. This course also provides a model framework for responders to integrate operations during an active attack shooter event through the Rescue Task Force concept. Thanks to the Kingswood Regional High School faculty and staff members who assisted in the active scenario scenes and providing us with the training space. That was, as they say, it was very comprehensive. Regrettably, it's very timely, and it's good to have this extra preparedness in the event something should occur. Also under training, Sergeant Pat Sparrow completed phase 2 of the FBI's Law Enforcement Executive Development Program that was held in Bow, and Commissioner, that was what we call the LEADS program. This summer, it's sad to report there was a tragic fatal jet ski accident on Crescent Lake earlier, I believe it was the second or third week in July on a Sunday. In the grief that follows, the first responders are sometimes left to deal with the trauma and tragedy on their own. That was common when I was a young police officer. Steve, I'm sure you remember that as well, and you too, John. We are pleased to have the Southern New Hampshire Critical Incident Stress Management Team on hand at Huggins Hospital on August 8th to assist our town first responders and EMS personnel who were involved in that incident. We thank them and Huggins Hospital for their support. The 2024 Police Central Dispatch and Animal Control budgets are being prepped for presentation. Proposals are due at the Town Manager's office on September 8th, followed by the Selectmen on October 12th in the Great Hall at 6 p.m. And then with the Budget Committee on, right now we have a date of November 8th, I believe, at the library. Sherry and Mark are doing some great work on that as we go forward. We appeared at the Wolfeboro Community Television studio to tape the Coffee in Connection with the Chief and the Captain. I added to that in this reporting period. The next segment has been rescheduled for Wednesday, August 30th at 10 a.m. and we're going to do that at the bandstand at Cape Park. And a tip of the fedora to Selectman Duchesne on his efforts on the widely successful Lake Winnipesaukee Day. I think I'm saying that correctly. Okay. Event at our town docks recently. My wife and I went through there that evening, and I was amazed at the number of attendees. That estimated by some to be up to as many as 15,000, I've heard. Well, which would exceed our finest night of fireworks. So,
3?
I was thinking 3,000.
Oh.
great. Well, these weren't from me, Mrs. Selectman, but that's what I was told. The detail officers, the officers who were there, reported the crowd was enthusiastic, orderly, and a good time was had by all. So thank you for that great community event.
Yeah.
And that's all I have, folks, for this evening.
I'm glad to see that you followed through, because I remember the year before when we celebrated the 150th on the Mount, you and Bodie and I were talking after about it'd be great to make an annual event, and you saw it through, and kudos to you. I was out of town, but I saw pictures and all indications it was well received, and as the chief alluded to, very well attended, so thank you for doing that.
We're going again next year.
Awesome. Let me know the date in ahead so I can schedule it. Okay. Any questions on the chief's items?
No.
Okay. Our next meeting is going to be here at the library, but we'll be back in our normal Bradley room. We were late, I guess, getting our request in, and that's how we ended up in this smaller room, but with such a large crowd, we've made it work. And at this point, Tom Bell from the Budget Committee, is there anything that you'd like to share with the commission?
We are waiting for, the department heads to meet with the supervisors and superintendents, and selectmen. I'm flashing back to my Washington Crossing days. But anyway, once those are prepared and you guys have at it, then, you know, we get the other opportunity to take a look, so.
Sure.
If there's any questions or anything you need from guidance at all, just let me know.
Thank you, and thank you for the paperwork today. And our liaison, like Tom Bell, our liaison from the Board of Selectmen, Brian DeShays. Brian, do you have stuff that you would like to
The
share
only,
with the commission?
the only two, and I try and keep it to police matters. The only two is the Board of Selectmen approved your new dispatch console, and it's on order, correct?
I signed the purchase order. I assume it's all set.
That's a big step. We've been saving for that
That's
for
a big,
years
that's a
and
big
years and
ticket
years.
item. That and the furniture that'll go along with it,
Yep.
and dispatch, yeah.
And that's gonna take a year to get,
Yeah.
so.
So hopefully, I think the intent and what we talked about all along was that it would be set up in the new space, because the last thing you want to do with something that
Move and
expensive
move.
is move it around,
Yeah.
because it's such an intricate piece of equipment that if anything gets broken or lost, or, you know, in the transition.
So I thought that was exciting.
Yeah,
The only other thing that I think pertains to, and it might to law enforcement, is there's signage that's going to be put up for the cross-country ski, walking, and bike trails up at Abenaki. In talking with DES, we found out that there are some best practices that we should have been taking at our spray field. There's only 4, I think, spray fields of any size in the state of New Hampshire. We have the only one that has become a recreation area.
okay.
And so they are going to be posting at the trailheads and along any trail that can be within 100 feet of the actual effluent spray areas, signage that says caution, stay away, blah, 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 blah. I don't think it's going to become a town ordinance where the officers have to go out if someone's, I don't see that happening. I think it's just going to be cautionary, but it's something to see what happens going down the road.
Okay. Is there, and I'm asking you this because I know you've been instrumental in the trails out there at Abenaki.
Yeah.
But with regard to the spray area, do they spray at certain times of the day?
It's all random. It's
Just
all
when they're at
randomized.
capacity and they've got to let go?
Yeah, it's all randomized depending on weather conditions, depending on where the ground has been saturated and not saturated.
Okay.
From rains, they know that certain areas after a rain have to be left for a period of time. We went up and we were taken, there's actually page 2 of the newspaper, the Granite State
I haven't seen
today.
that yet, but.
Yeah,
okay.
it has an article on it, and we were actually taken up to see an area actually being sprayed,
Okay.
and I was surprised because I thought that it would smell better.
Really?
I assumed it being treated with disinfectant, they say, and you know, it goes through 2 processes, one that in the plant to the pond, and then one from the pond out. But I was surprised at it was kind of odorous.
It's still like a sewage smell?
Yes, and
Yeah.
I was surprised, and this is why we want to make sure. And then I found out things like the cross country team at Kingswood has practice around those areas on those trails with those spray heads running for years and years and years. And this is stuff that the state has said you need to be 100 feet away from that when that's operating. If the system has a hiccup, something happens and it's not treated correctly.
Right.
You don't want to be underneath it.
So, do the bike trails out there, can those be actually hit by spray if this?
There's a main trail that carries our power line and one of our main water lines. It was constructed to install the spray field areas. It goes within 25, 40 feet of the spray field area. That main trail became the first one that everybody started using
Okay.
for cross-country skiing. Now, in the winter, it doesn't matter. When they cross-country ski, that's shut down. You can't spray that effluent in the winter. Everything would freeze up. It has to be all drained and shut down for the winter.
Well, that's how they did the snowmaking at Abenaki. Just kidding.
No, don't say that. Please don't say that. But anyhow, so people started cross-country skiing it. Then they started walking it. And then they started riding their bikes on it. And then people came in and cut trails off of it to go through to this way and through to that way. So a lot of the entrances and exits to the trails are within that 100-feet buffer. Not the trails that the Board of Selectmen has worked with the single track and approved. Any trail that we've approved, which is a significant amount of trails, $270,000 worth, we know are more than 100 feet away and they're good to go. What we're gonna have to work on is the road trails that were installed years ago. And
Okay.
only the ones that are used for summer use. If you're gonna cross-country ski or you're going to snowshoe in the winter, the whole area is fine. That's where we are with that.
Thank you. No, that's very interesting and very telling. Okay. Anything from the public this month?
Well, after hearing this report, I've been on the other side of Abernathy and Ambrose Way for 6 years. I didn't know they let the spray go. I'm pretty close to the reservoir there, and luckily, I don't smell a thing. So,
You can at the, down Filter Bed Road,
yeah.
at the back of the Taylor community. And the people at the Taylor community have said that there are days, depending on how hot and which way the wind goes, that sometimes they can get to motors in their complex.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing from residents up on King Street, which is proximal to the Taylor community. Just depends on which way the wind's blowing. But
Yeah.
I talked to somebody some years back, I think when I was working for the town for the electric department, so it's quite, 25 plus years ago. But I asked about like any type of deodorizer that could be placed in the effluent before it's, and I think it comes down to dollars and cents. I mean, it can probably produce stuff that smells better, but
Is that
is the
You ever
cost
see the
is the cost
advertisement
worth
for
it? Yeah, yeah. So
So
anyway,
they say that when it's treated correctly, which is, we assume all the time, it's monitored on a, minute by minute, hour by hour,
It's
all day,
safe.
that it's safe. Nobody's gonna get sick or anything from it, but the state has what they consider best practices. They actually do use effluent to water some golf courses, but when they water the golf courses, they make sure that public won't be on the course, that it's 100 feet away from any place where people will walk, so on and so on and so on and so on.
okay.
So that's, we're trying to now align ourselves with the best practices for it, which makes sense.
Tom Bell.
I thought when you were talking about using All Saints for parking, I forget, is there a crosswalk, formal crosswalk nearby
I
there?
think the library is the
Is it the
closest one.
library?
Goes right from the library right
Yes.
across to the church.
So that'll be good.
Yeah. Yep.
I did have a citizen say one thing that was very unusual. It wouldn't work, but it got me thinking. They said, why doesn't Pine Street become a one-way going down, 2 lanes, and then after the Dunkin' Donuts coming up to 109 to the corner, be a one-way coming up, so that people would go down Pine Street, and if they wanted, and then they would come back up that way, and it would almost make it so that that intersection would be alleviated of a lot of its traffic. The
So,
only problem is that on Pine Street, then you have people who live on Pine Street, and if they want to get to their house, they go all the way
Way
around in
around,
the circle.
yeah, the road infrastructure in Wolfeboro has always been a problem, as you're aware. And from back when I was quite young, and they actually had a hearing about a bypass,
Yep.
which didn't get very far.
Because it would have taken the traffic away from our downtown business.
And I understand that,
Corridor.
but my thought on that is, I'm an avid hiker. I love the White Mountains. I used to do a lot of skiing. If I want to go to one of those places, I'll take West Side Road. There's the North-South Road. There are ways to get around going down. If I want to go shopping in Conway, then I'm going to head down the Strip. The
Yeah.
same thing for Wolfeboro. If people want to come into Wolfeboro and shop, they're going to shop.
Correct.
But if they need to get through Wolfeboro, it would be nice if it would obviously eliminate some of the traffic. And I think we're probably, right now, until it's mitigated or resolved somehow with DOT and the town and everything,
Yep.
that intersection at Center Street and South Main, that's always gonna be an issue. And then, you know, when the other morning I pulled out of my road and the state was doing the gutter, drainage, and they had traffic shut down. And I sat there for quite some time, and the line that they let go coming out of town was quite lengthy, and then the line, somebody was nice and let me out. I don't know how far it went into South Wolfeboro, probably down around the corner by Westies and up to by your way.
Now soon we're gonna have the road ripped up from Pickering Corner all the way down to the bridge. And then in 26, 27, we're gonna start from, the DOT is gonna start from Pickering Corner down past Pleasant Valley Road.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna have 5 years of major construction on that road, and there's gonna be a lot of backups.
Well, I won't have to get to work, worry about getting to work on time after the first of the year. I'll be retired, so I'll have more time then.
Sean, you'll just have to use your boat more often.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's gonna be brutal. Okay. Chief, do you have anything else for us this
Yes, sir.
afternoon?
Thank you.
Okay.
Well,
Commissioner Cooper's all set. Commissioner O'Brien, anything else?
Same, I'm good.
Okay, then, if we have nothing from the selectmen or the budget committee or our public, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Okay, moved by Commissioner O'Brien, seconded by
I second it.
Commissioner Coop. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you being here this afternoon.